We found out that the deployment was a possibility in mid-October of 2010, and we prayed about it and decided that this was something that God was going to bring us through. So we decided to stay in the Air Force, and a few weeks later we found out that we were going to have Zayden. So it just, for a while there, it seemed like kind of a 1-2 punch, one thing after another.
And we got to be on the phone for about an hour. He got to hear Zayden's first cries and hear, all the stats and everything. It wasn't what we would have picked, of course. I would have rather had my husband there with me, but considering the circumstances, it was just a really awesome experience.
After I'd been there a couple weeks, I was able to go to a chapel service and connect with the praise band, and just having the chance to go to practice a couple times a week and go to a service, to be around other believers, to have a chance to worship God, was just amazing. Just the way that God provided to make sure that I was connected with Him, that I was growing, that I was with a group of believers that we were sharing and that we were serving together, was just an incredible blessing. We would walk out of the chapel and there would be the dust and there would be the smell, or there would be some armored convoy driving by out in front of the road, and we would look at each other and go, oh yeah, we're still in Afghanistan. The reminder that God is sovereign and that His body and His people are everywhere. Even in a very, very dark place like that, He provided something that really went a long way towards helping me stay grounded and keep my relationship with God.
I remember a lot of mornings just feeling really, really exhausted after feeding him, especially right after he was born. I think there was a period of probably about a month where it was super difficult because we had some feeding issues with him and he wasn't gaining weight. In fact, he lost a significant amount of weight at the beginning. That was probably the most stressful time in my life. I would cry in the shower a lot of mornings. I'm gonna cry now. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to nurse him. The thought was, what's wrong with me? What's the problem? Why isn't my baby learning this? Why isn't he growing? And most of all, why isn't my husband here to help me when I need this?
Loud noise is still kind of, it's receding, but with the rocket attacks and whatnot that we had, any loud noise or a door crashing or something kind of makes me sit up and take alert. There was stuff blowing up all night, and if you heard a boom, no siren, it's okay. It's just A-10's out working the range. If you heard a boom and a siren, or a siren and then a boom, that meant somebody was trying to shoot onto the base. It was really miraculous. We had nearly 70 rocket attacks while I was there, and very, very few people injured. They had rockets land within a few feet of fuel tanks, within a few feet of dormitories, buildings. There were more people hurt jumping into bunkers for protection than there were from any of the actual attacks.
It was just one of those days. Everything was going wrong. I was exhausted. Any little thing that the kids could possibly do to annoy me was happening. Out of the blue, somebody knocked on the door, and I went out there and there were some flowers on the doorstep. I'm still not sure who had them sent, but they just had a little note from a friend who said that they were praying for me. That same day, another friend, not knowing that I was having this horrible day, called and said, hey, can I bring you dinner tonight? I was just thinking about you and I thought that maybe you could use a meal. Every time it would seem that I was kind of approaching that point where I thought I might snap, God would intervene, and it was always through His people.
I've told many people this, but I firmly believe that God brought us back to Dayton, to Faircreek, knowing that He was going to bless us with this deployment. Our family, and Beverly especially, was better cared for here than I think pretty much any place else we've ever been stationed. And so we definitely saw God's hand through that.
I would look back and see all of these days that, wow, we're doing this. We're getting through and we're okay. I found strength that I never knew I had, but at the same time I knew it wasn't my strength.
I really have to think that it was God watching out and protecting, because there was so much stuff.
Day by day, God would fill up my cup and give me just everything I needed to get through that day. We've crossed the finish line. We made it through that year, and it was a very long year, but definitely worth the difficulties because of the rewards that have come.